Namaskar children, an introduction to the animal tissue. What is an animal tissue? So we know the definition of tissue, that tissues are the group of cells with similar structure and function. All the cells which are similar in structure and they perform same function and are present in the animal body or human body, they are regarded as animal tissues. There are four basic types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue is further divided into squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and glandular. Similarly, connective tissue is further divided into four basic types. They are areolar tissue, which is further divided into tendon and ligaments; adipose tissue, which is a fat storing tissue; skeletal tissue. The name itself is telling you that skeletal is a word which has come from skeleton. So this tissue comprises of further two types, bone and cartilage. Then fluid tissue. Fluid means liquid. So the liquid connective tissue flowing in our body is blood and lymph. So children, this is about different types of animal tissue. Let's know more about these type of tissues. Epithelial tissue. You know children, this is the outermost covering of most of the organs in the animal body. They are most widespread and yes, they cover the body surfaces. They line the body cavities of hollow organs. They perform a variety of functions. You see, these are the important functions of the epithelial tissue. If the question is there, write the functions of epithelial tissue. You can use this line over there. That the major functions of epithelial tissue are absorption, excretion, filtration, diffusion, and sensory reception. What is sensory reception, children? Sensory reception is sensing few things. You know, our skin is also a type of epithelial tissue and our skin is the sensory organ. So the senses are perceived by the epithelial, some special type of epithelial cells. Now what are the different types of epithelial tissue? Simple squamous, stratified squamous, simple cuboidal, simple columnar, and pseudo-stratified columnar. Children, these are the types which are mentioned in our book. Squamous are flattened cell, flat cell. See the description over here. When we say simple squamous, they are one layer of flattened cell. Stratified mean many layers. So when there are many layers of such flattened cell, we call them as stratified squamous. Simple cuboidal, cubical shape. When there is one layer of cubical shape cells of epithelial tissue, we call it as simple cuboidal. Simple columnar. Children, columnar cells are elongated cells, pillar-like cells. So when we say simple columnar, they are simple pillar-like cells. Then pseudo-stratified columnar. Pseudo means false. So it is actually not stratified. They are not many layers of cell, but they are giving the appearance of many layers of cells. Here you can find out the pictures, images of all these different type of tissues. Let's move to the next slide. Children, these are the functions and the locations of the epithelial tissue. Look here, simple squamous. It is present, if we talk about the location, it is present in the, or you can say that it lines the blood vessels and air sacs of the lungs. And what is its function? It permits exchange of nutrients, waste and gases. That's why it is present in these areas. Simple cuboidal. It lines the kidney tubule and glands. So its function is basically excretion. It excretes, it absorbs water molecules and other small molecules. Simple columnar lines most digestive organs. So definitely its role is going to be absorptive. It absorbs and it also produces mucus. Stratified squamous. It is present in the outer layers of the skin, mouth, etc. What is its role? It protects us against abrasion. What is abrasion, children? It's cut, drying and other kind of infections. Stratified cuboidal. It lines the ducts of sweat glands and it secretes water and ions. Stratified columnar. You know, columnar are tall, pillar-like cells of epithelial tissue. They line the epididymis, mammary glands and larynx, and they secrete mucus. Next slide. So this is all about the location and function of all the major type of epithelial tissue. And children, this question is usually asked in the exam about the location of the epithelial tissue. The next tissue is connective tissue. As the name itself implies that it connects different tissues and organs in the body. That's why its name is connective tissue. In connective tissue, the characteristic feature is this, that the cells are loosely packed. They are not tightly packed. Rather, they are loosely spaced and they are present in an intercellular matrix. In this type of tissue, there are different types. And in all those different types, one thing is common, that you will always find a matrix and certain cells. And cells are loosely packed. They are specialized to connect various organs of the body with each other. Now see children, connective tissue is again further divided into different types. Proper connective tissue. It has areolar, adipose, tendon and ligament. Supportive connective tissue, bone and cartilage. Liquid connective tissue or fluid connective tissue, blood and lymph. Children, we have already discussed this type of flow chart and now I am proceeding to the next slide. These are the pictures which are present in the Ncert book, and you can see this is the areolar tissue. You can see there are different type of fibers over here. Cells are there, different type of cells are there. Then there is adipose tissue. You can see these yellow color structure are the fat droplets. So adipose tissue is the fat storing tissue. This is bone cell. And a bone cell, in this cell you can see the osteocytes. Children, be very particular about all the images which are given in the Ncert book, as they can be asked for picture identification. So this is your bone cell, wherein it is clearly written that bone cells are called as osteocytes. This picture is showing you the cartilage, the image of the cartilage, and you can clearly read over here that the cartilage cells are called as chondrocytes. Children, one thing is common in all the connective tissue, that there is a matrix and inside the matrix there are certain cells. As in the bone, we call those cells as osteocytes. Osteocyte, osteocytes. And in the cartilage, we call them as chondrocytes. Similarly, let's look at this type of connective tissue, which is blood, and you can see there are different type of cells and a plasma. The matrix over here is plasma, and different cells are moving in that plasma. So this is all about the images which are connected to the connective tissue. Now, blood and its important functions. Important questions from exam point of view. Blood is a fluid connective tissue. It runs in the body. It has certain cells in it. RBC, WBC and platelet. RBC, red blood cells. WBC, white blood cell and platelets. The major function of RBC, they contain hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin, which is an iron pigment, imparts red color to the RBC. And the major function is transport of oxygen. WBC, they are the soldiers of the body. They help in increasing the immunity. They provide defense to our body, and they protect us from any foreign body entering our body. Platelets are very important as they are the important factor for clotting. Blood clotting is impossible without platelets. Then comes another important component of blood, which is plasma. Plasma is the matrix in which all these three types of solid cells are moving. What does plasma contain? It contains proteins. It contains water. 95% of plasma is water only. It contains hormones, which are again different types of protein, salts, etc. And its major function is to transport all these things to different parts of the body. Then comes lymph, which is another type of fluid connective tissue. Lymph drains into the blood and transport absorbed fat to the blood. This fat, which cannot enter bloodstream directly, enters into the blood through the lymph ducts. Lymph has white blood cells in its liquid matrix. So you can say that lymph is something similar to the blood but without RBCs. It helps in getting rid of the toxins and waste materials from the body. They contain WBC, so they also help in fighting the infection. This is all about fluid connective tissue. This is a picture, an elaborated image which can give you a clear picture about different type of blood cells. RBCs are there. You can see different type of WBCs are there. Platelets are there. So this is about the components of blood. The picture can come in the exam for identification. Then comes the skeletal connective tissue, which is bone and cartilage. Let's know about this diagram. Children, you can clearly see, you have already seen one more diagram which is there in the Ncert book, but this is another diagram which is giving you a clear picture as to how they look like. These are the concentric circles which are arranged one after the another, and these small circular cells are called as osteocytes. Bone is a strong connective tissue. It is not fluid, rather it is very strong and non-flexible tissue. What is the function of bone? It provides a framework to the body. It also anchors the muscle and supports the main organs of the body. As I told you in the beginning of the slide, that this connective tissue will always have a particular type of structure, that is, certain cells embedded in a matrix. In the same way, bones also have a matrix, but here the matrix is solid, which is composed up of calcium and phosphorus. And the cells are embedded in this solid matrix, and cells are called as osteocytes. Connected to the bones, two other type of loose connective tissues are there, ligament and tendon. Let's discuss about those two over here only. So, two bones can be connected to each other by a connective tissue called as ligament. I hope you remember I gave you a mnemonic for this, BLB. Bone, ligament, bone. This tissue is very elastic and has considerable strength, means it is very strong. Ligament contain very little matrix. Another type of connective tissue which is connected to the bone is tendon. And the mnemonic for tendon is MTB, muscle, tendon, bone. Means the connective tissue that join bones to the muscles or muscles to bone is tendon. Tendons are fibrous and they also have great strength, but their flexibility is limited. They are less flexible, less elastic as compared to the tendons. Let's move to the next slide. Cartilage. Bone and cartilage, these two are the skeletal connective tissue. Cartilage cells, as you can see over here, they are widely spaced. The cells are called as chondrocytes. And the solid matrix is composed. See, connective tissue here. So there need to be a matrix in which certain cells need to be there. So here in this cartilage, the matrix will be composed up of proteins and sugars. It is not going to be hard as bone, but definitely it is flexible. Cartilage smoothen the bone surfaces at joints. In a way, we can say that it reduces the friction between two bones. It is present now, the location of cartilage, it is present in the nose, ear, trachea and larynx. Children, these are the important differentiate betweens. So, these differentiates are usually asked in the exam from this chapter. Bone and cartilage, tendon and ligament, areolar tissue and adipose tissue. Areolar and adipose we are going to study, but bone, cartilage, tendon, ligament I have discussed with you. So you can go by these things and make a good note for you. Areolar tissue, it is a loose connective tissue, children. So wherein no other tissue is present, that empty space will be filled by the areolar tissue. So you can say that it is a packaging tissue. It fills the spaces inside the organ. It supports internal organ. It helps in the repair of tissue. This point is very important and is usually asked in one-liner question in the exams. That which tissue helps in the repair of tissue? So it is areolar tissue. It is found between the skin, muscles, around the blood vessels, nerves and in the bone marrow also. Children, you can see over here there are different type of fibers which are present. Elastin fiber is there, collagen fiber is there, mast cell, macrophage and fibroblast. So many different type of cells and fibers, they make your areolar tissue, right? Adipose tissue, you should remember, if I would have filled yellow color in these cells, so it would have looked very nice, because adipose tissue, these are the fat storing tissues. So they store fat in them. Adipose cells are the fat storing cells. So when they are observed under the microscope, they give a yellowish tinge because of the presence of fat in them. So they are fat storing tissue. They are filled with the fat globules. These tissues are found below the skin, between the internal organ. They act, they act as a wall around the visceral organs. They provide protection to the visceral organs because they give cushioning effect to our internal organs, and due to the storage of fat it also acts as an insulator. You must be knowing what is an insulator. Insulator does not allow the excess of heat to pass through it, so the heat of the body is conserved. Children, muscular tissue. Now about a very interesting tissue of our body, that is muscular tissue. It is specialized tissue in animal which helps us to apply force, and it is the tissue in our body which help us to bring about movement. It is made up of thin and elongated cells which are called as muscle fibers. So students, there can be a question, what are the which is the smallest component of the muscular tissue? So it should be muscular fiber. It controls the movement of an organism. Cytoplasm in the muscle fibers is called as sarcoplasm. Children, they are the special type of cells. So muscle cells have a cytoplasm like any other animal cell, and that cytoplasm is specifically called as sarcoplasm. And the membrane which is lining, as we say, cell membrane, so the membrane of this special type of cell is regarded as sarcoplasm, or you can say it is regarded as sarcolemma. So the membrane surrounding the muscle fibers is called as sarcolemma. So these are the pictures which are giving you a clear idea as to how they look like. Some are cylindrical, others are pointed, and in a way some pictures are given over here which are giving you an idea what is the location of these type of muscles. Let's know more about these muscles. So this is a summary about all the different type of muscles. It will be very useful for children, for you children. See, this is striated muscle, striated, stripped or skeletal muscle. They are also called as voluntary muscle. Look at the picture or image. They are looking as if there are certain bands on them. That's why they are called as striated or striped muscles. They are not showing any kind of striation, so they are regarded as smooth muscle or unstripped, non-striated muscle. Cardiac muscle also have some kind of striation and bands present on them. So if you will go by the content which is written over here, you will have a clear idea about the difference between all the three types of muscular tissue. They are called stripped or striated muscle as they have light and dark bands. They are called voluntary as we can move them as per our will, means they are under our control. They are called skeletal because they are attached to the bones and help in the movement. Then comes the structure of the striated muscles. They are long, cylindrical and unbranched. This is a particular feature about the striped or the striated muscle, that they are unbranched and they are cylindrical. They are multinucleate, many nuclei in a single cell. Fibers are arranged in the form of bundles and they have dark and light bands, because of which they are called as striated. Location: they are present in the limbs, tongue, body, face, neck, any part of the body which you can move on your wish. There you will find your striated muscles. Now what is how they work? They contract quickly but cannot remain contracted for a long time. That's why हम थक जाते हैं. That's why these muscles get fatigued and we feel tired. On the other hand, unstriated muscle or unstripped muscles do not show any kind of light and dark bands. They are involuntary because they are not under our control. We cannot make our stomach move on our wish. We cannot make the intestine work according to our will. We cannot make our liver expand when we wish to. So all these organs are made up of a special kind of tissue which is called as unstriated, non-striated or unstripped or involuntary muscle fibers. They are spindle shaped, uninucleate. A single nucleus is present in a single cell. Fibers are arranged in the form of sheets. They are arranged in the form of sheets, children. And there is no dark and light band present. That's why they are sometimes also called as smooth muscles. What is their location? It is present in the iris, ureters, bronchi, alimentary canal, blood vessels, etc. Working: contract slowly but remain contracted for a long time, so do not get fatigued. They do not get fatigued. Children, they do not get fatigued, but it is not like that we cannot have pain because of these kind of muscle fibers. Now let's come to the cardiac muscles. Cardiac muscles, as the name itself is telling you, they are present in heart. The structure is in between, somewhere lying in between striated and non-striated. They show rhythmic. This is this is the specific characteristic feature of these muscles. They show rhythmic contraction and relaxation throughout the life, and they help in pumping the blood into the heart, to the whole body. They never get fatigued. This is the most striking feature of these muscles, that they never get fatigued. And what is the location? They are present in the walls of the heart and in some special type of arteries which are connected to the heart. They are short, cylindrical, but branched. You remember? The striped muscles were also cylindrical, but they were unbranched. But here they are cylindrical and branched. They are uninucleate. Stripped muscles were multinucleate. Fibers are arranged in the form of network. Faint light and dark bands are present. Here in the cardiac muscle, faint light and dark bands are present. So this is all about muscular tissue. Nerve tissue. The diagram is very important. See children, this nerve tissue is the tissue which is the major component of our nervous system. It monitors and regulates the functions of body. Brain, spinal cord, nerves are all composed up of this type of tissue. Look at the structure of the neuron or the nerve cell. These are the small projections which are called as dendrites. What is the function of the dendrite? They help in bringing the signal or message from other neurons. They pick up the message or the signal or the stimulus from other neurons. Then this is the cell body, which is also called as cyton. Cyton has a nucleus in it. Then a long stem-like projection is coming out, which is called as axon. Axon is covered with a myelin sheath, and inside this myelin sheath you can find Schwann cells, and in between where this myelin sheath is not deposited, that is referred to as nodes of Renvere. And the axon is terminating at a point, and that point is regarded as axon terminal. What is an animal tissue? So we know the definition of tissue, that tissues are the group of cells with similar structure and function. All the cells which are similar in structure and they perform same function and are present in the animal body or human body, they are regarded as animal tissues. There are 4 basic types of animal tissues: epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, and nervous tissue. Epithelial tissue is further divided into squamous, cuboidal, columnar, ciliated, and glandular. Similarly, connective tissue is further divided into four basic types. They are areolar tissue, which is further divided into tendon and ligaments, adipose tissue, which is a fat storing tissue, skeletal tissue. The name itself is telling you that skeletal is a word which has come. Thank you so much, children, and please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.